Hey everyone. So I finally managed to get some time back on Wednesdays, and I wanted to try to test some things out. Hence today's stream. I hope they will be I hope I will manage to get them back to regular format. Though now that I think about it, I think that next Wednesday I have a work trip, which automatically makes it not really possible. But hey, after that, we'll see. So once again, hey everyone, I am testing some new things out today, mainly multi-camera setup. Check this out. Look at this, look at this. So that was the view of this server right here, which I'm preparing with the thought of my next material for YouTube mainly. Give me a second. I do actually want to verify. Yeah, okay. I think everything is good. Audio is good on Twitch and both YouTube. Just maybe let me verify that on YouTube the stream is public, because YouTube always gives me a headache with that. It is public. Great. So back to my feature idea, to my feature ideas for today. I do wanted to get some work done on this server. I will probably after that switch to some sort of, more just talking kind of a stream, and then just get some work done on what I have on my agenda today. I'm not sure how long do I want the stream to last today, mainly because I've managed, if you are like on my TikTok or whatever, I've posted a short yesterday where I'm trying to basically get up and running our old LTO tape library, 2 petabyte tape library, and I've had some success with it. So after I'm done here, I wanted to relocate to our other data center where we have that library, and then basically play it with it, and then basically play with that library there. I thought about streaming from there, but sadly there is a lot of noise in that data center room where the tape library is located. So I don't think I'll be reliably I don't think I can reliably stream from there without, a lot of fuss to actually show you anything interesting. It would have to be recorded, and that's basically an idea for a whole another video for YouTube basically, and maybe some shorts, we'll see. But yeah, I think everything is working. I do hope that chats are also working. If anybody's watching, please just type any message. It can even be ASD ass on both Twitch and YouTube. I think I can do that though. That is a good engagement bait, because I am never too sure whether the the Twitch is working and the YouTube chat is also working. Hooray. Okay, so I guess I can get started working, and we'll see. Okay, let me switch the camera. Okay, I could leave this like in between. I think I could also like have those two cameras like next to one another. The problem is that it's basically coming up from one single switch. So what is the state? And I hope you can hear me clearly, because I am stepping away a bit from the microphone. But the state of the affairs is that this is my old PC motherboard from my old PC. It has I think 32 gigs of RAM. It has Intel Core i3, but that's I think the 4-core i3. I've also installed LSI SCSI card, and I've already hooked up the tape interface, tape card reader for basically those thingies. So the idea is to have a server where you can basically pop in and out tape drives for easy backup and just, for just fucking around with it. And I really do like my tapes. It also has, and I don't think I might just fuck around a bit with this a bit more and just zoom out. I don't really want to rotate it too much at this point, but it also has like 5 drives in the front. Currently only one is inserted, but this back plane is pretty hefty. I think it also has like individual SATA cables routed out of that back plane. And by that I mean you don't really have to have a SCSI or SCSI controller or iSCSI controller for, I wanted to say SCSI breakout cable, because those are I think only SATA ports. So we'll see whether it works at all. I am also not sure whether I have to use the terminator for the SCSI cable. If I only have the drive plugged at the very end of it. We'll see about that. As you can see, I don't have any cooler on my CPU, and that's not really because I wanted it to be gone, because I only have this stock cooler, the Intel stock cooler that fits. I've basically just broken out a single plastic thingy, and it's not really sticking that well to the motherboard. And I basically used to grab this motherboard by the fan, so it kind of broke. That's not a big deal for our R&D that we're doing right now. I do have some, I think I have like a very, very last drip of the thermal paste. So I'll basically apply some thermal paste, then put down the cooler, and then we'll basically try to get this thing up and running and install some OS onto it. We'll see how that goes. I also have, so this thing also has 2 power supplies, and those are 800 watt. I'm not sure you can see, but it's basically longer than the motherboard itself. And that sadly gave me some problems that I've only noticed just yesterday, because I was looking for a server that has those 5-inch wide, basically CD, DVD sized holes in the front, so I can just input my tape drive reader into it. And I was like really, I really thought that this enclosure might be an ideal one for, for some storage server that also has capacities for LTO tape backup. But sadly, then I've noticed that I'm not sure if it's visible. I might move this a bit. So this bit here I'm pointing at is a bit sticking out. So if I try to insert a full-fledged 5.25-inch drive, it's basically stopping it from being inserted fully. And just to show you, I think I've let me switch the camera. Zoom. I think I have the original. Oh yeah, here it is. So this was the original DVD drive that was inserted into the server, and I switched to another camera just because I can and just because it's cool. This is the original DVD drive that was inserted into the server, and I think you can already notice one peculiar thing. I've already inserted the LTO SCSI, but if you can notice that this is basically a bit shorter, right? The SCSI drive basically has this full length. It's longer by this amount. And that makes the DVD drive fit and the LTO not. So that's the very gist of it. Oh my, I am so terribly organized with this streaming thing and announcing it. But you know what? Since I do have, I think I should be able to allocate 2, maybe 3 hours for the stream today. We'll see how that will go. I may want to, I should have probably done that before stream, and I'm really sorry for that, but I am just so all around the place when it comes to this stuff. I should probably get this thing announced on all of my socials. Just you can see me being aged live. Okay, I do have Cookie Clicker running on my desktop, so I might just change it to something a bit more professional. I mean, typically I just hate doing selfies. I don't really have many photos of myself. Well, I mean, even with my girlfriend, we don't, even though we've been together for more than 10 years, we don't really have that many photos together, which may be weird for some. But, you know, it is, we just don't like taking those. So whenever I just like have to do a selfie or a photo, I die inside a bit. Oops. Oh my. Okay, so I've noticed that my other camera seems to be having, it's either the camera fault or the cable's fault. It seems to have those periods when it actually dies for a few seconds. And I'm not sure what's causing it. I basically am testing a new setup today, and what I've discovered is that, you know, the shorter the HDMI cable, the better. I've had some, not really some, I've had problems with my camera setup, and it turned out that the biggest issue was that I was using 5-meter HDMI cables, and even though they were basically branded new, not used, not you know, meshed or, you know, badly stored, it turned out that the distance is basically the issue. Okay, just one more second. I mean, this post will probably die on TikTok within like 200 views because self-advertising is not really frowned upon by Twitch, but people don't give a shit. And, you know, understandable. I also... Yay, we're back. And I also don't really give a shit, but maybe somebody will find it interesting and click on it. You never know, basically. Okay. I can start doing some work. So I think that, you know, oh yeah, one other thing. I am not sure that this CPU has, I'm not sure, very big birth, by the way. Thank you for follow. I think my notifications are broken on this setup. So yeah, that CPU, I don't think it has built-in GPU. So I do need to install my own GPU for that. But that's not a problem. I do have a GPU lying around, mainly whatever this is. Let me maybe just read that out, and I'm not really sure whether it actually works. This is GeForce 210, which at this point is super old, but it has one big plus. Basically, it has all sorts of outputs: GPI, VGA, and DVI. But I think that I might install it later. First of all, let's see whether I actually have some thermal paste left. I do have some thermal paste left, jeez. But, you know, on the other hand, I feel that, you know, using Noctua on this CPU is a bit of a waste. But we'll be doing, especially that we'll be doing nothing intensive. And by the way, I think I've used all of the paste. Especially that we'll be doing nothing intensive. I don't even want to properly lock the cooler into place. Yeah, I mean, this is some shady goblin engineering. I might want to try it at least a bit. With at least some on the diagonal. Yeah, that's good enough. Nobody will be shooting missiles from this. Okay, now the GPU. Now the GPU, this has some finicky and weird locks when it comes to PCI peripherals, but nothing we couldn't handle. I do have to remove a screw, and for that I will need to unscrew this one. Okay, so let me remove it. I mean, this is basically one big you know, experiment, and sadly, like I said before, I don't think this will make it into the final product that I have in mind for the YouTube video. I mean, you know, documenting your failures is also important. But like I said, sadly, I don't think this server will make the final cut. Basically, for this piece of thing that's sticking out, and I think that's the main issue of it. Okay, we have the GPU installed, we have the SCSI. I think I have everything prepared. We'll also see how loud it is. And you know, there's one thing I might also try, but that will require me to go quickly to another room for a second for another HDMI cable, because I may be able to connect the output from this video card to the video switcher that I have, so I may basically do one more camera, and I basically haven't thought about that when I, you know, started preparing everything. By the way, Jesus Christ, I am like literally glowing. So yeah, give me just a second and we will be starting this baby up within 30 seconds. And I'm back. I basically went to get this, and this is the HDMI cable that I said I was using previously that's been giving me trouble. You know what, I might just for now stick with this camera angle. Let's input this. And, okay, actually, because I also have prepared a VGA. I've also prepared a VGA cable and monitor, but for now, sadly, you cannot see this. Oh, maybe not sadly. Okay, it's hooked to the switcher. So now I will connect the power cables to this, and we'll see how loud it is, because if it's very, very loud, then, you know, my time with this server on the stream will be very, very short. Okay, so I do have not only power cords prepared, but also a power meter. So I guess we can try and at first connect a single power supply via the power meter. Oh Jesus, we have so many cables in here. Okay, ready or not? because yeah, one other thing that I was basically, and I'm actually still worried about a bit, is that those like power connectors from those fans are a bit short. They are designed for way bigger motherboard, with connectors placed, you know, more conveniently to this side. And now currently they are basically not working, those fans you can see here, which, like I said, makes it another case for this not being production worthy or acceptable. But we'll see. Okay, so currently the fans are silent, and you know, I kind of expected them to start beeping, because if some platforms, when you don't have two power supplies connected or all of them, they beep as a sign of either, you know, power being cut or the PSU being damaged. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. Okay, let's see whether it will power on. If I press the power on button, it might not be. Yeah, because I haven't connected the power on. So we will do this the old-fashioned way. Jesus, that scared me. Yeah, but now it's beeping, and that's probably because we don't have... Yep. Like I said, if you have two power supplies connected, then it's silent. If you don't have them, then it's beeping. Let me grab my USB pen drive. Welcome to the Debian 12 installation experience. And since it's running, I have to, before I start the installation process, you'll have to excuse me, but I need to check. What was that? We have camera 2, I think 6. Just give me a second. Yep, so 6 is my output for the video card. And still nothing. I mean, I think the problem might be that it's not. It's only expecting the. It's only expecting the full HD 60 Hertz or 60 FPS output. So I'll try the alternative VGA, which is basically connected to here, as you can see. So I'll be able to see it, and you probably will not be able to see anything. You know, this is such a convoluted thing to do. I mean, it sounds easy, like I just want to show people how to install the server, but in reality, you see, right? Do I even have to say anything? Yeah, I forgot one essential item, the keyboard, and funny enough, all of the keyboards I have are PS2 in this room. Not really a single USB keyboard inside. And from my experience, in order to have a PS2 keyboard working, I have to kill the power to the server. By the way, what's the power usage? It's only 30 watts from a single power supply, though we have two connected, so there might be that. Okay, it's off, powered back on again, and do a short start. Yep, the keyboard has lit up. I have to change the source. Surprisingly efficient with two PSUs. Hey, Steel Wolf. Yeah, like I said, I am measuring one. I am not sure what's the mode on the PSUs. Mainly, you know, you can have load balance, you can have active standby, etc. So I might check that in a second. I can just have it running on a single PSU, but then it has this high-pitched noise as a warning. Let me just change the source on the monitor to, yes, I have BIOS. But if I have BIOS here, then let me just maybe check once again really quickly, because maybe I'll be able to show you everything. Shit. Okay, sadly not. Push comes to shove, I may just, rotate the monitor, but I don't think, the Debian installation by itself is that interesting. Where's my pen drive? It's here. The good news is that the graphics card that I've just randomly pulled out of some random server is working. Because I was a bit afraid I might be shuffling some old GPUs, and there is also the risk of pulling out GPUs that are not PCI Express but AGP, the old type of connector. Okay, how? Let me save and reset. And sorry, I currently am not seeing the stream chat, so I will answer everything in a second. But I just wanted to boot into the... Yep, okay, so it's seeing, I think it's seeing the USB. I wanted to boot into the Debian installer, and we have Debian installer. Hooray. Now I actually might use the laptop to peek on the Twitch and YouTube, just so I am up to date with you, my dear viewers. Just let me quickly go to my dashboards. Yeah, okay, I think that Twitch has a bit smaller delay. Okay, so And the installer has booted, so I will just, installing Debian is really simple. At this point, the most time I spend is on, sometimes I want to configure specific local, because, typically it's just Polish, Polish, Polish. It's basically select one and enter, enter, enter. But sometimes I do want to have English local, just so I have help and manuals in English, because it's easier to debug and search the internet for help. But I do want to have my Polish keyboard for my Polish signs, so then I just have to click around the installer a bit. But actually I've done that already. Now we'll switch to partitioning. Oh, sorry, we'll switch to DHCP. I think I have my DHCP server up and running, and it should be running here. I think it is visible in the frame. I do have my server with DHCP running locally, but I see that it's taking its time. So I think that because sometimes after I reboot that server, the DHCP doesn't start automatically. And that's due to, I haven't really checked it yet because I can't be bothered. It's just my random server that I use for restreaming the streams for both platforms. I think it might be the case of DHCP server trying to start before network interfaces are up. I think it might be that. So just, basically restarting the systemd service is enough. So maybe just history, grep DHCP. Yep. And by the way, if anybody's interested, I'm using care. Makes sense. Never thought about searching for bugs and helps in another language. Yeah, I mean, there are, I guess, in Polish there are big communities on the web where sometimes it's worth checking in Polish, because in this country we use a lot of legacy stuff. So if you are dabbling with legacy, you might find recent posts about that. But in general, yeah, English is king. I mean, that's also why I'm basically doing this channel in English. I think that if you want to work in IT, in any sort of IT field, English is a basic it's such a basic requirement at this point that it shouldn't even be listed. Okay, coffee is done. Now just plain water. Oh. Haha, network configuration failed. Let me see how I routed this cable. And the fun thing about this setup is that you can move my camera a little and not fuck everything up. You know what? This is worth showing. You know why the DHCP didn't work? Jesus. I do have to switch the camera to cam 4. You know why the DHCP didn't work? You see this cable? Here's the other end of it. Okay, so I basically used the wrong cable. I mean, the DHCP server was still down though. So let me just see now. Retry. Yep, I think now it worked. Hooray! I love DHCP. I mean, I do have, just it's so annoying if you have to. Because we don't really have DHCP in each and every network in the data center in the institution, and it's okay if you it's okay if you are doing like, you know, production ready services, where, you know, you basically give it IP and it lives for a few years or even more. But if you just want to test and play around with stuff, you know, then just like having and searching and reserving IPs is just a pain. Okay, partitioning. Shit, it's not seeing. The Debian is not seeing the drives I have here. It's only seeing the USB one. That means two things. I mean, this, right? That means two things. Number one, the backplane might be not connected in a way I thought it was, or this hard drive is broken, because there is also a possibility of that. I do have this backup SSD, which I may just insert and connect. And by the way, it's been filled with those dummy placeholders for drives. You know, the best idea would be for me to have M.2 drive, which I sadly don't have at the moment. But I managed to get this one little thing. Okay. How should I insert this? I guess somewhere along the lines like this. Remember, kids, don't do this at home. I am a professional. I am a highly trained professional. Does the backplane require extra power connection, Molex or something like that? Yes, and I will show that to you in a second. Typically, backplanes do have extra power connections because they, you know, because the way the connectors are, you know, like SATA and SATA power next to it, right? Let me just maybe partition this. Detect disks. Let me just see whether it has. It hasn't. Okay, so it hasn't detected the drive at all, and that might be a bit of a problem. Let me just switch sources just so I can see what I'm showing. Okay, right. So that might be a bit tricky to show. I might try doing a little zooming. Yeah, you know what? Our setup is so good today that I might get the camera out for a spin. So let me just give me a second. So, hooray! The camera is free. So, if you look at the other side of the backplane, you can see that. Maybe let me just zoom out as much as I can. We have, those are the power connectors, the Molex ones. And here we have, let me just maybe catch some sharpness. We have SATA and we have those combined SCSI. So I kinda have the hope that those SATA that I've basically connected here will do fine. But
it seems that might not be the case. And if you are, you know, and you've probably may have noticed this already, but I don't have SATA power here. I only have Molex and some weird server connectors for power. And I don't think I have Molex to SATA at hand. I mean, it's probably somewhere in the data center, but I would have to actually go and look for it, which is a bit of an issue if you have a live stream going, right? Okay, let's leave it how it was, and let me just connect the power to the camera. There are so many basic problems. Some cables being too short, some being too long. Excuse me while I just try to resolve this little issue. And it's almost plugged. Yeah, it's plugged. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the commotion, but as you see, nothing is simple. Let me go back to this here. Oh, I think I know why this little guy has been shutting down periodically, basically getting dark. Yeah, it might be a bit better. I think it was actually overheating. But that might be the case because I haven't popped the preview window, the preview screen, so it might have been heating. Okay. So now the problem is that I have the HDD, the SSD inserted. I don't have SATA power. I did see it come to life briefly though. I did see it come like flashing with the diode, like recognizing that something is plugged in. Not really SSD, but the backplane side, I think, recognized that. So I might be missing a SATA cable, or I might be missing something entirely else. Let me switch camera again. I mean, I am so just... I mean, this is actually quite nice that I can show and switch between cameras and have a multi-camera setup. Better zoom, please. I'm not sure you can see. Okay, and this is amazing that I can just, you know, come here and just autofocus, please. So I think you can see this little guy here, but I don't think I have a SCSI card at hand in HBA. I have a shitload of fiber channel. Hey Asibi, how's it going? I do have a shitload of fiber channel cards laying around, and I don't have SCSI HB. No, this is not. Oh, sorry, SAS HBA. I am just so all around the place with with my wording. I do have Mellanox Connect X3. Is there a SAS switch on the backplane or is it straight through connection? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe the backplane can be reprogrammed? All good, just stumbled upon your Arch Linux hardening guide. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a basic guide, truth to be told, but you know, most of the hardening guides are for most of the hardening guides are if you are running, let's say, cloud cluster, Kubernetes cluster, large scale. So it might seem a bit basic, but truth to be told, there's not really much more you can actually do, at least in my opinion. I mean, you can go crazy, but I basically think it's not really worth it. Going back to the SAS, I mean, I've actually because you know, I have a saying that there is everything in this data center, but not money. I have found SAS card. I love Fiber Channel, specifically Solaris ZFS storage hosts. I'm not really familiar with Solaris ZFS storage hosts. I do have here Solaris, I think this is a Tor. I have a Solaris Tamper. You might be familiar with those. If you want, I can't really get my camera to show you it, but if you want to check it out, go to my video about Ceph. I think it's titled Amazing Ceph Storage, whatever, and within like first 20 seconds it's shown. And you know, if we are talking about Fiber Channel, I also love Fiber Channel. Behind me there's a Fiber Channel switch I bought because I wanted to do some projects with it. It's on the very bottom, but I do have LTO5 tape drive, which is Fiber Channel based. And you know, even here I do have, this is basically Fiber Channel card with, you know, with the thingy removed because it was high profile and I've had server with low profile where I was testing things. I am like really amazed by Fiber Channel. It's such a technology that basically, you know, with the advent of AI and the rising network speeds, got a bit overshadowed. But still, when it comes to reliability in storage, there's nothing quite like it. And I'm quite like interested if, you know, because we have 800, like 100, 400, 800 gigs network interfaces, right? This Mellanox card was 100 gig Ethernet, I don't know, 5 years ago, right? And Fiber Channel is only now reaching the 128 gigabit, I think. And my question is, how is it so that Fiber Channel is not keeping up with Ethernet when it comes to speed? Because when I've started to, you know, read on the Fiber Channel on a more deep down technical level, then I've basically, like, my intuition tells me that it should be able to more easily reach the higher speeds than Ethernet, but I don't know. Kinda off topic, sorry, feel free to answer later. How would one go about learning about computer security? I'm a comp sci student, but security is not really emphasized, at least not now. Don't worry, I mean, this is the stream. We can talk about anything. So, I mean, you know, many people in the field can give you different answers. For me, I would say that you being a comp sci student is a very good step in the right direction. Because, you know, many people think that you can basically learn about security on a bootcamp, right? And it just doesn't work this way, at least in my opinion. I think the best example, because, you know, there are also many fields of security. There is web application security, there is low-level security, you know, with the disassembling stuff, etc. There is network security where you are basically worried about, you know, firewalls, packet analyzing, etc. So I think that the most important thing is, if you want to know security, you need to know what you are protecting and what you are protecting against. And that means if you want to be, let's say, a network security person, then you have to work as a network admin, or basically cover the network protocols, network knowledge, firewalls, application layer 7 firewalls, everything else like that. If you want to do low-level security with disassembling stuff and assembler, etc., you have to know C. You need to know about C programming language, how compilers work, how hardware works, stuff like that. And I think C is the best gateway to it. And you know, with web applications, if you want to be a security person that's, you know, good at pointing out where in the web applications are issues, then you need to write web applications, at least for a bit. You need to know how they work and what the process of creating a web app is, how they are deployed, what the environments are. You know, sometimes it's not really about plugging the holes in the web application. Sometimes it's about fixing the environment the application is deployed in. I know that's a lot of information, I know, but I think with experience and with knowledge, it will be more and more clarified to you. I'm not sure at what year you're in, like how long you've been studying comp sci, but I think that as soon as you grasp something, I think you might be interested in taking, you know, or looking up some courses that are, you know, more specific, more like in depth about a certain field of security. It's always with courses, you know, you always have to be careful because they might be targeted to the widest area, to the widest the widest group of people. So they might be very basic, but if you will have some decent knowledge on comp sci, then you will definitely know how to pick a good course on the security field you are interested in. Where was I? Okay, so I think I was stuck on this installer not detecting drives. I see what you mean. I'm second year now. I love low level and networking. I am familiar with C, assembler, and also did CCNA modules. Didn't get my certificate though. Yeah, I mean, you know, most of the comp sci courses cover you know, all of those fields. I do have to say that I do have to like say one thing, and that being mainly, I have met people that are really good at C and C++. They could basically compile the code within their heads. Like they can basically tell me that what the assembler output will be given the optimization parameter, right? So they were amazing people when it came to programming in C and C++. They completely didn't know a thing about networking or firewalls or stuff like that. Like, you know, more than just, you know, how to set IP address, right, on an interface. So comp sci might cover everything very basically. Some universities, you know, are proud of being, you know, dedicated low-level C programmers, or maybe not universities, but some courses at university, right? But I think it's also very important to remember that even though you might think that there is a lot of knowledge to learn, in my experience, it turned out that I was basically taught the very basics. And you know, even though I think I'm working in the field for 10 years, I still feel like complete newbie when it comes to certain things. It's a constant teaching curve. I do need to check whether this card will fit, because It may have found my SAS connector. The problem is that it's super fucking short. And this might be the external SAS, whereas this cable is internal. Fuck. And that is exactly the case. I do think that the SATA should work though. I understand what you're saying. Very well, thank you. No problem. I do think that, you know, a lot of career advice in IT is very poorly done because it's basically revolving around boot camps. You know, things that tell you that you can be an IT person after the Python bootcamp within 3 weeks, right? And I basically think that it's a terrible thing that's happening with that. Oh, I think I know why the drive might not be detected. I think that I've just noticed this. I am just blind. Those slots are connected to SATA, and those are connected to SAS. So let me just replug, and I may have just been, you know, unlucky. So maybe let me go back to this thingy in a proper chassis, and let me plug it in. Don't tell me I've been using... You know what, actually, let me go with the SSD because it's... I have bigger trust in the SSD working. No, knowing my luck, I may have already short-circuited something, and this might already be off. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let me go back here, switch my source. Go back to the Debian installer and detect the disks. Shit. Maybe let's try. Let's go through all of these slots. I mean, I also think it might be the Debian installer fault, because I do know, I mean, I did have some adventures with it that it's not really good at detecting hot plug and hot swap drives. I think I've seen the magical LED flashing, and that was only for a second. Why is it not? Why is it only flashing for a second? Now it might be funny if it turns out that, you know, I've basically found this server with this backplane lying around only because the backplane is broken and somebody just left it. But you know, that flashing light gives me, and makes me think that it should be working. We also have some jumpers on the back of the back plate. But it's like JTAG and upgrade, so it might be just for the backplate chip upgrade, firmware upgrade. And I don't really see anything here that's worth playing with. What else do we have here? Oh, by the way, yep, so this might be just... yeah, this is what I was talking about. I don't have HBA to connect this side, and this is basically a breakout cable, right? Interestingly though, this is SATA. So somebody has probably unhooked, because I haven't touched this, like somebody has probably unhooked this, connected plain SATA cables to some ports, and then left it at that. And you know what? At this point I am willing to restart the whole installer, because due to some weird fuckery it might not be detecting the drives unless the whole system is rebooted. Let me boot into the USB again. And you know what I also may do? I may just check some work emails. In case anything urgent has come up. But I think... okay, nothing. Nothing has popped in. Yep, configuring network, almost back. Okay, we're almost at the partitioning. Oh, force you. Okay, that's new. Force UEFI installation. Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, now it's seeing the drive. So that was definitely the case of it not being hot pluggable, hot swappable. At least not at the installation phase, or maybe, you know. Okay, I forced the UEFI.
Okay, so create EFI partition. Done, and the rest just as a typical root partition. Finish partitioning and save changes to the disk. No, I don't want any swap. I have enough RAM. Yeah, so base system is installing. Some sweet progress. I do hope that after the system is installed, I can actually do the thing I was talking about when I can just switch the output from the graphics card to my video switcher. I think the difference in fiber channel speed versus Ethernet is mostly due to the lack of HBA cards using the QSFP interface for FC. Higher end FC switches and directors do use 256 gigabit QSFP optics. At the same time, quad port SFC cards are common, but quad port 25 gigabit Ethernet cards are rare. But you are right, FC is not 400 or 300 speeds, it's very simple protocol. With 25 gigabit internet, you know, because there with Ethernet speeds there was this, before we've hit, or even when we've hit 100 gigabit, there was this weird moment where you were having 10 gig, 20 gig, 25 gig, 40 gig, and 100. Right, so that was a bit of a wild era, and only now it's being, let's say, streamlined, right? Because currently 100 gig is the golden standard for the speed of a lane. Because if you have 800, 8 or 400 Ethernet port, it's most often compromised from, let's say, if it's 400 gigabit, it has 4 100 gig lanes that come into the 400 port, and then they can either be used as a single 400 gigabit Ethernet port, or they can be broken out into 4 interfaces, or just, you know, with a breakout cable into 4 cables from a single port. Right, with 800 it's also 8 times 100 gig lanes. But before that, like I said, there was like this wild west of lane speeds where you could have 20 gig, 25 and 40. And sometimes that's a platform has to dedicate its lanes to those speeds, and without and that's something I've only learned that exists, but I personally have never used it. Without a gearbox that you basically plug into interface port, you cannot, let's say, use those lower speeds, or you couldn't if you were like having those 20, 25, 40 issues. I mean, there were like cases, I think, that were described to me where you had a 100 gig port, but you could basically use it either as a 40 gig or 25 gig, but you had to use the gearbox interface that, you know, had some sort of buffer magic that allowed it to be used as a different speed. Right now it's very more streamlined. No, I don't want to take part in the content. We're almost done. Do I want to have graphical interface? You know, typically I never do graphical interfaces, but now I might just do that for the easy HD output for the stream experience. So I think I'll go with Mate because that's, you know, I've used to use Mate. So we can try and install graphical interface. I mean, FC has one other extra super cool feature that I think that, you know, not many people are aware of. I mean, if you are doing fiber channel, then you probably know about that. But typically, when you connect, is this visible? Okay, so those basically are fiber channel optics, but for the sake of the argument, let's imagine that those are Ethernet. If you are connecting Ethernet interfaces via fiber, then both of those have to be the same speed, and you know, ideally they is best when they are the same manufacturer, etc. But they have to be the same speed, the same fiber type, which is I like the word single wavelength or multi wavelength, I think, you know, etc. TLDR, you cannot basically have 10 gig on one end and 1 gig on the other. They both have to be either 1 gig or 10 gig. With fiber channel, you can have 32 gig on one end and let's say 8 gig, 4 gig, 64 gig on the other. You can mix and match interface types, which is super cool when, let's say, you are doing an upgrade of fiber channel fabric, but you still have some legacy servers that are running stuff. And that allows you to upgrade your fabric and then do incremental upgrade of your servers, hardware and stuff, which I think is super neat. And it's so much easier if you have a big data center with a because you actually have to invest in a fabric day one. Typically, I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain this to you, Steelwolf, but maybe somebody will be watching this stream later. Typically you want to have two fabrics, right? So that means you have to double the switches, and basically fabric, you can understand that as a network, right? As a network on its own, like a dedicated layer to VLAN or a circuit, right? But you need to double that, because typically fiber channel cards come with two interfaces, not because they are expected to have let's say redundancy at the level of this interface being burned out or you know, destroyed. They are actually expected to be connected to two separate fabrics that are, let's say, managed by two separate switches, and to which are connected two separate controllers from your storage array. And if you want to, I mean, if you are some person that doesn't know what I'm talking about, I think I have video on my YouTube, on my channel, data center storage, how does it work, or something like that. I think I'm showing everything there, but basically there is an upfront cost, and especially after I've quoted some fiber channel switches for upgrade of our infrastructure, Jesus fucking Christ, it's so expensive. Up to the point where we were discussing within our team whether we want to maybe switch to iSCSI infrastructure for storage, and you know, the simple response to that was how many issues we've had with Ethernet switches during the past 4 years, and how many issues we've had with fiber channel switches. And basically the answer was we've had 0 problems with fiber channel switches, and with Ethernet it was weird, right? So yeah, I do think that fiber channel is amazing technology, but sadly I think it's being outpaced by Ethernet, and at this point I think, I don't know, lossless Ethernet might make a comeback. It does give you a nice added benefit of practically being its own separate network only for storage, which means that you cannot mix and match data traffic and storage traffic even if you wanted to, because you know some people might get that idea, which is basically a very bad idea. And you know, Ethernet stack is way more complicated than fiber channel stack. Okay, installation is done, by the way, so I'm just removing the USB. So let me just get to the login manager. I will see if I have the output then on, or maybe I'll just click around the okay, I need to connect the mouse. Don't tell me I don't have USB mouse with. Oh, okay, I know this one. I have a very shitty one. I have this shitty mouse. I have this very shitty mouse, but I think it will do its job for now. And what I wanted to basically do a quick check is how does the Linux see my display settings? System preferences, displays. I think it's only seeing my VGA output. It might not be active if I don't activate the camera input. Excuse me the black screen, but I need to do a quick check. Okay, it's not detecting my HDMI. Yeah, obviously it's not fucking detecting the HDMI. And again, it's not plugged. Detect again. Hooray! Okay, so let me set this one. Okay, but I still see that nothing is visible on stream. Okay, maybe apply. This might be the case of the HDMI cable being too long again. So let me try some stupid stuff like changing the refresh rate on the HD. Yep, that was fucking it. So basically I've reduced the refresh rate to 30 Hz. Okay, keep this configuration. Set as primary, please.
now close. Now I can go back to my actual setup and I can just unplug the VGA. Which means we are both operating on this weird small window. I'm not sure how does this work, but hooray! We'll see how well this fares for both you and me. Okay, so we have this basic Linux installation done. The system is up and running. I think it might still be... No, thankfully not. I was afraid it might still be doing the dual monitor. Jeez, why the white background? You know, like I said, I am also operating on this very small window that's basically very poorly scaled background. Transparent solid color. Yeah, solid color. Can I change the fucking color? Use from default system theme. No. Please don't. Yeah, that should be way better. Okay. Oh, yeah, it might be just Debian without sudo. I always forget about that. Vim, sudo and htop, please. Done and done. User mod ag sudo my user, great, and probably apt install ls-SCSI. So, fuck yeah, our drive is visible. Our beautiful tape drive. Sadly, even though it might say LTO3, it's actually LTO1. I used to have LTO3, but I've basically burned it because I've connected the molecs the wrong way around. Yeah, so I actually, that's quite a big success for today. So let me just check. So I have some tapes because those are for LTO1. Those are dirt cheap. I think for LTO1 you have 200 gig. Is it 200? Okay, so those are actually 100 gig. Because they might say 200. I'm not sure whether the camera can catch that, but as you can see, there is a small asterisk sign. And if you rotate it back, it says 200 gig asterisk sign, and asterisk says assuming 2 to 1 compression. Which is basically a case with tapes where they basically give you the doubled amount that it can actually hold, because tapes do have some interesting redundancy, the duplication, compression stuff. Maybe not really the LTO1, but those things are not uncommon to the tapes. But even if it is 100 gig, it is still very capable of holding some data. This is how an LTO1 tape looks like, and you know, actually, let me just do a quick lookup. LTO1. How much does an LTO cost? Because, like I said, this one I just used previously, but this one is brand new and still within foil. I think you can see how the light reflects. It's like brand new, unpacked, etc. So for 100 gig of LTO1 tape, I mean, just as a quick lookup, just for funsies. LTO1. Don't tell me that they've went out of stock everywhere. Okay, LTO2 is around 20-25 bucks. And what I've basically seen is that people are selling though. They have those stocked in their houses. I'm not sure how they ended up there. And they are basically reselling that for dirt cheap. So if like LTO2 is, let's say, 20-25 bucks, then LTO1 will probably be around, you know, the same price range, maybe a bit cheaper. Everything up to LTO5, like LTO1, 2, 3, and 4, will probably be around the same very cheap price. Because starting LTO5, some interesting new innovations were being introduced. And they might be a bit more expensive, but I still think that, you know, anything up until the recent LTO 7, 8, 9 might be really, really cheap. Okay, enough talking. Shut up. Insert the tape, you idiot. It's in. That's a good news. And it's doing its thing. So let me switch back to the Linux. I'm not sure if you can hear it. But I think it loaded the tape. And you know, that is the question, because I think I have it. Does it say ST? Yes, ST. Dev ST0 status. I think I have wrote to it
a tar archive. And that might be a bit embarrassing, but I think I do have to Google how to read it back. Because I've literally done an experiment, I think at home, where I plugged like this thing to my home PC, burned some data, and then was like, okay, it works. But here, I've never actually tried to, you know, restore the data, and I might do that just now. And you might not be surprised what's on there, but we'll see. Okay, whatever. Stack Overflow, yes please, I'm an idiot. Please give me the first answer. Because I'm also not sure whether I no, I don't think I've compressed. I mean, I can just, you know, run a vanilla tar unpack command. Okay, so I think that might be done fairly easily. Back to here. Tar. Okay, by the way, ls dfh, I think how much space we have available? 200 gigs. Okay, so let's make a directory tape, cd tape. I know I'm executing this as root, but whatever. xvf, it's just a test. Def st0. Go. Could not read, cannot at the beginning of tape, quitting now, error is not recoverable, exiting now. Interesting. Truth to be told, I'm not even sure this is the tape I wrote some data to, because that was really a long time ago, and I basically had 3 tapes like that, and I may have gotten confused and took the wrong one with me today. Cannot allocate memory. That's an interesting error. Tar. Interestingly enough, if you Google tar cannot allocate memory, the first result is cannot allocate memory when reading from SCSI tape, which is right up on our alley. Oh, nice. Yep. Yep. Okay, so let's try. Let's try the same command. But at the very beginning, let's give it dd def st0 pipe. Yep, dd input file and pipe to tar, and okay, this time is oh yeah, sorry, vs 1 meg. Sorry, I forgot to specify the block size. archive is compressed. Yeah, so that's definitely a progress. Use Z and we might increase the buffer to 10 megs. I'm not sure whether the tape has rewound itself to the very beginning. Yeah, it might have not. So Linux SCSI tape rewind. Jesus, so many. Maybe I've went too far with the block size. It works. So I guess you have to match the block size. Oh my, it's actually working. Ha 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 ha. By the way, let me maybe fuck around a bit with my video switcher. I'm not sure what this is resulting with. Yeah, it might. Okay, maybe not this, just this. But maybe the other input. I have no idea how this works, but maybe it's a part of the process. Why is it giving me the input from one source and one? Sadly, I am not sure how does this work, and I don't really want to make this into a debugging session. We are, I think, I don't want to say halfway done. but it's quite robust. I mean, if block size is this important, do you need to write it down on a tape just so? I mean, because before LTO5, you could basically only write to the tape using DD. You could basically treat it only as a hard drive, but you could only write to it sequentially. Not really, because you could like control, like, you know, move me to here and to this part of the tape, etc. But basically you could only read and write, you know, as a stream. With LTO5 you can actually have a file system on the tape, and you can basically mount a tape as a directory in your system. But before that you can only use DD. And my question is, do you like needed to have it standardized, or, you know, just write down the block size parameter on each and every tape, just so you are sure that you will not forget it? It's interesting. I don't really have an answer to that now. Oh, I think it's done, and I think now it's rewinding. Yeah, it has stopped. And it's doing something. I'm not sure what. It's spinning again. So I'm not sure what happened there, but something must have happened. Interesting. Let's check whether this camera still works. It still works. I do have to say I kinda like this multicam setup. I wish I could also have a single camera, even if it was a phone one, that I could just, you know, carry around with me without dragging the HDMI or whatever cable. Even if like the output from it would be delayed by a few seconds, then I would be fine with that. It's just something that, you know, could be really useful if I'm going off screen to grab something, or if I were at the second data center and I just want to pop into the data center room for something, then I could just get you guys with me and show off some stuff. You know what? While it's copying the data, I think I might go and get myself a really quick bathroom break. So be right back. And I'm back. Let's see how is it doing. It's done. So one little thing. Please give me MPV. And you know what? Actually, I think this will be a nice finale to our stream today. We've been streaming for over almost 2 hours. I wanted to say over, but it's like lacking 5 minutes to the full 2 hours. We've had some lovely conversations with the viewers. And I think we've actually had a good time, and I think this way we can end on a high note. Let me do one little thing. Move the tape to my home, because I am not sure whether the media player will want to run as a root. Chown recursively. Looking forward to next time. Thank you. I am also looking forward to next time. I might, you know, truth to be told, I might do some live streams. I want to say today, but maybe tomorrow or maybe this week. What I wanted to stream was, because I am also a part of a supercomputing conference and a SciNet routing team, where we basically are modeling some interesting network topologies, and we have full-fledged GNS networking lab with all of the vendor images supplied, which gives me the opportunity to model some multi-vendor networks, which is not something you often and typically do, but it's like very interesting because you can show off many many different you know, network approaches, vendors, CLIs, etc. And I might do just that. Maybe later today if I still have the energy, and if not, then maybe this week. But without further ado, CD tape, CD Trigon, LS, MPV 01 V2 AVI. Is there a better finale? Can this stream end any better than with a fucking DMCA strike that I'm just basically just ensuring that I'll get now? Oh my. I mean, Trigon was such a good anime with a lovely opening. Yep, everything is working. The operation has succeeded. And even the patient survived. So, let me just eject the tape. We've done it. We've built a server, we've read some data from the tape that I've had basically written a year ago or something. One last thing, because if I don't do this now, then I will probably do this never. How much power are we drawing? So currently we have 2 PSUs plugged in, and we are drawing 50 watts of power from a single PSU. But like I said, I'm not sure whether this is load balanced, standby active, or anything like that. I think like 50 watts is surprisingly low for an 800 watt PSU. So let me unplug the non-metered one I have.
That way all of the power will be coming through that single PSU. 80 watts. That's 80 watts. Which is, I would say, a really good number. The word of advice that I can also say at the closing words is that those LTO tapes and LTO, or sorry, not LTO, and SCSI cards can noticeably increase your power usage if you decide to, let's say, buy a cheap LTO one and just have it inserted into your workstation. And this is just a figure that I'm right now throwing from my distant memory. I think just having the SCSI to PCI card inserted is around 10 watts, and adding the SCSI the LTO drive to that, it's around 40 watts plus 40, so like around plus 15 total. But like I said, this is something that I remembered I've checked when I was basically writing this tape like a year ago. And my theory is that this is due to SCSI. First of all, why the SCSI card is drawing this much power. Basically, SCSI is operating on a 12 volt logic. And if you are familiar with PCI Express is, I don't think it has more than 5 volts. I'm not sure. I definitely know more than 5, but I'm not sure it has even 5. I think it might be 3.3 volt only. So in order to get that 12 volts, it has to have capacitors and if not transformers, then something to bump the voltage up. Just for the basically just for this tape to communicate, right? So it needs 12 volts here. And the other thing why the LTO is drawing so much power is because this kinda like on a standby, like even if it doesn't have a tape inserted, if you touch it, it's basically not hot but warm, like definitely warm. So it has to draw power and do something with it. So I would say that even though this is a fabulous solution, quite possibly some fun thing you can do for a little bit of money and make sure your data is safe, then you have to be careful if you just want to have it plugged in non-stop. It depends where you are from. If you are like USA lucky guy or gal, then I envy your price per kilowatt hour. But here it might be a deciding factor. And maybe one last thing, it's something that I've been told. I haven't checked that. I don't really know. I don't really have the measures to check that. But I've been told that if you buy a used LTO drive with many cycles of tape written and read, it might come to that. It's basically a situation that also has been happening with the old CD and DVD drives, where you burned a CD or DVD, only the drive that burned that could read it. And I've been told that with used LTO drive, especially if they have high mileage, let's call it, the same might be with the tapes. If you write a tape on a single drive, the other drive might not recognize the data. But like I said, at this point, if you are buying LTO1, then you are an enthusiast and you basically just want to do something fun. And for the price of $20, why the hell not? Especially since this is something I've not touched on the stream today. But this is something I will probably mention. I will mention my YouTube video. I will definitely make on this. Is that it used to be really hard to find SCSI
SCSI cards for the PCI Express, because you know, when we've had PCI interfaces on our motherboards, then you know it was no problem. You could buy used one basically from you know, the servers that were being thrown out to the pile. No problem. I even have PCI lying around, and PCI was way easier to make SCSI controllers for, because you know, the PCI had higher voltages on the line, on the pins supplied. But with PCI Express it's a bit harder. But the card I basically bought, it was brand new and it cost me like, I think, another 20 bucks. And it's PCI Express, and it, like you saw, it works. This motherboard is PCI Express only. It has no PCI or RGB or other legacy interfaces. And it just works, and it works reliably well. So for the cost of 40 bucks, if you are into this, why not to have some fun? And with that closing statement, thank you all for being here. Thank you for, you know, making the Data Center Wednesdays enjoyable to, you know, do, and to have somebody to chat with. Once again, I hope I will see you not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that, because I think next Wednesday, just let me have a quick peek at the calendar. No, actually, okay, actually, next Wednesday is definitely in play. The Wednesday after that, I might not be. So I'll try to be way better at, you know, announcing the streams. So, you know, I'm not keeping you guys here any longer. Thanks for the company. Thanks to anybody who's watching this later, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.